Yes. We were just looking if the technique was working, but now you can see me on the screen. It's not a big hall here, so you can see me also live. Welcome here in this place. Ladies and gentlemen, dear students, members of the town council and members of the press. No, there's no press, I think. Is there press? Somebody from the press? Somebody from the press? You brought somebody from the press with you? No. Everybody speaks English? Yes. Okay, sure? Yes, okay. I just told my colleague here that I remember I had a speech in China about 8 years ago or something. It was an enormous audience, but China is completely different organized than the Philippines, of course, and the Netherlands. So I was giving them a speech for, I think, 45 minutes about a lot of things. And at the end, I asked, are there some questions? And nobody asked something. Then I asked, how many of you speak English? And there were only 2 who were speaking English. So my whole speech, nobody understood anything from my speech. But this is a very small speech I have for you, just to, as an introduction, because of course I'm very pleased that you are here and that I can meet this delegation of students. I met a few students already a couple of months ago, and I think the group is changing now. So you are in a new group, and the old group is going back to the Philippines, I guess. Were there also some of you in the audience when I was there last time in the house? No. You go also to the same house, or you go somewhere else? Ja? En die andere groep die blijft hier ook gewoon? Ja, want die lopen hier stage. En deze groep is nu 14 dagen uit Cebu hier op bezoek. It's only for 14 days. The other group was staying here for 2 years, I think. I think after 14 days you say, I want to stay here. I'm sure about that. I'm sure about that. Well, let's be honest, it's very important for you, but also for us, to broaden our view of the world. So it's very interesting that you are here, and I hope in the 2 weeks that you are here that you can learn a lot from what's going on, but that you are also communicating with other people. Also people from our community, people that you meet in companies, in university, people on the street, people wherever, that you tell them about the Philippines and that you try to broaden their view also about what's going on. Of course, this place is already very international because we have the international airport Schiphol in our community. So that means that there are a lot of people working and living here from all over the world. But it's always more interesting that you meet face-to-face people and that you try to introduce yourself and that you try to hear something from the usual things that people know in their lives and the ideas that they have about politics and about, because it's a very open society, so you can speak about everything. Don't be afraid that there are cameras, but I'm not listening to you. No political cameras, so to say, only for safety. But you try to communicate with other people and try to learn and broaden your view and also the view of the people that you see. Because when you have an open mind to everything, well, that's the best way to learn things and to grow also in life. And we need very friendly relations all over the world. No matter what your age is, what our age is, just try to communicate. Of course, I'm very happy that you are here. This is the heart of our democracy in our community, Haarlemmermeer. It's a difficult name probably to pronounce. I don't know if it works with your language, but otherwise you have 2 weeks to try. So when you come home that you can easily explain them that Haarlemmermeer, it's a big word, is really the heart of Holland. Well, the interesting thing about our city is that we are really a small example, a miniature city of how the Netherlands was developed. I will tell you in a few minutes. First of all, I will tell you some things about the room that we are here now. We have some special features. First of all, you see the bust of our king. That's there, to the right for me, left for you. We are not a republic, we are a kingdom. And it sounds a little bit strange probably because we are a very well-known democratic country. We are not that democratic that we choose our king. So our king is king by birth. So his mother was queen, his grandmother was queen, and his daughter will also be queen after him. And that's King Willem-Alexander. He's king since April 30 in 2013, so almost 6 years now. And when he has his birthday on the 27th of April, so that's quite soon, then the whole country changes in color. Because his family is known as the House of Orange, and that means that the whole country will be orange. So you see orange things in shops, on the streets, the same color as that we use as our national color nowadays. So not only the red, white and blue from our national flag, but orange is also something that's added to it when we have Olympic Games or Eurovision Song Festival, or we have the World Cup or football or whatever. Then everything is, when you see orange, then you know these people are Dutch. So you have something orange there, I see, the orange cup, so he's Dutch. But I guess you can see already he's not from the Philippines. No. So that's important that we have our king. And his wife, by the way, is from Argentina. So his wife has to learn Dutch, the Dutch language and the Dutch habits. She had a course for it also before she became Dutch inhabitant. And I have 3 children, 3 daughters. Every council room in the Netherlands has an image from the king. So it can be something like this or a painting or whatever. So to see who is the head of our state. But that has every country, of course. You have that with your president also, I guess, and other countries have the same. Another thing that's very important to point out is the color of the floor. This is a blue color that you can see, and that symbolizes sea level. This is the sea level in the Netherlands. So you think you are quite high now here, but that is because we live below sea level. But if we put away the dikes and everything around the sea and around the rivers, then the water will go up to this level. So you are dry now. When you stay here, then you are dry. So when something happens in the Netherlands, the local council of Haarlemmermeer will have the best seat, I think. Because you knew perhaps already that we are situated below sea level, and the dikes and the dunes that protect our country. And the seawater should otherwise go to this level. The yellow color that you can see, the yellow color of the floor of the public gallery, that symbolizes grain. So that's the yellow color. Seems to be yellow. It was yellow when it was placed there a few years ago. It symbolized the grain, and that's because the growing of grain was the agricultural activity with which the economic activity in our community started. So in 1852, the water became land. So it was all water in this place where we live now. And after the water, so we dried it, and it then became fertile, very fertile soil. The northern part of the city, of the place, is much older. So this part is only from 1852. So we have around our 167th birthday. But the northern part of our city is a little bit older, well, a little bit, 800 years older. So it was already always above sea level. Haarlemmermeer itself is a very young municipality because the old and the young part, they came together only last January. So only a few months we are one city. So that means that we doesn't exist anyway for 1 year or more, only a few months. And we have 153,000 inhabitants at the moment. With that, it's one of the largest communities. I think it's the 17th city in the Netherlands. And we have at this moment, John, about 250 cities in the Netherlands? John?
355.
Still, yeah? 355, okay. And we are the 17th, so that's not that bad. And in our city we have about 31 smaller villages and townships. So the 153,000 people, the half of it is here in Hoofddorp, in the center of the place, and all the other ones live in 30 more villages and townships around the municipality. We have, I told you already, Schiphol, one of the largest European airports. They lay within our borders. That's interesting. It's called, by the way, Amsterdam Airport Schiphol, so not Haarlemmermeer Airport Schiphol, because Amsterdam is more well known, of course, in the world. So that's the reason why the name of Amsterdam is added to the airport, and that's no problem for us. It's an international gateway to Europe, and it's very important for people who want to find work. That means also a lot of people who work there, they live also in our city. So we are also dependent more or less from the airport, and the growth of the city is of course due to the growth of the airport. Again, we call it a little bit the heart of Holland. So the way the city was developed, so the whole country was developed, because the whole country are the lowlands. The Netherlands is called, of course, in English when you translate it, the lowlands, and it means that there was more and more water everywhere, and we dried it up during centuries and centuries. So then became it a very fertile country. And then, so that way we developed also our country. And it means that the water management is inside our DNA. And water management was also one of the main issues from our king. Before he was king, that he was trying to bring to the rest of the world everything that we found out about water management. Because I don't know how it's in your country, but there are a lot of countries who need also this management, because it's very difficult to go on with it. And we developed many techniques, and you can see also in this city how happy we are with that water management. At this moment we have 11,000 companies located in our city, so that's a lot. Of course a lot of them around the airport, but also in the smaller places, because you need not only the industry and the logistic partners, but also all the business behind it, also the financial companies, the accountant companies, but also the companies where they repair cars or whatever, which is important for the airport. So that means we have 11,000 companies in total, together good for 160,000 jobs. And the growth is enormous, because last year we welcomed again 2,500 new companies, so that's a lot. A lot of them also from the United Kingdom. I don't know if you followed that discussion in the Philippines. I guess not, but perhaps you did. We have, of course, the European Union with a lot of countries in Europe who work together on certain areas, and the United Kingdom wants to go out of it. So they want to break the relations with the rest of Europe. They still have their own currency. In the whole of Europe, the most part of Europe, we work with the euro as a currency. And in England they still have the British pound, so that's not a difficulty for them, but for the rest of the possibilities for free trade of things for industry, but also for people moving, it will be more and more difficult when they go out of that union, because a lot of connections we made together. So it's an enormous debate in Europe what they want to do, and we have elections for the European Community in May, 23rd of May. I had, and well, we are not sure if they can arrange to go out of the community before that date or afterwards. No, well, it's interesting when you look at internet to see that discussion, because it's very political and very emotional also, because they organized a referendum in the United Kingdom, so the people were speaking about it, and they said, well, we want to go out for different reasons. And it's very difficult to organize that. So that's always difficult in politics and in society, that you also as an individual person has a lot of ideas what you think should be changed. And, but really the way to change it, well, that's that the political organizations have to organize. So when you go into politics, then you will see how difficult it is to do what the people want, and that there are always discussions over how far can we go by responding to the public wishes and the public needs. And in this case, it's very difficult to go as one country, big country also, the United Kingdom, to go out of the European Union. So I will advise you to, within these 2 weeks or later on, to read about it on the internet. One of the main challenges that we are facing nowadays is how we can ensure that our economy will could be shaped in a sustainable way, because that's one of the main issues, of course, nowadays around the whole world. That we think about climate, we think about sustainability, and that means that we have to change our way of living, our way of producing, our way of traffic organizing, everything to think in a different way. And why only now? That's of course also because there are more and more people in the world, and also in our country. And of course there's a limit in the way we can organize it to be sure that we still have a healthy world, and a healthy country. And every way you can think about it, can organize to live on a more healthy way and to produce on a healthier way, we have to take. But that's very difficult. Also, that is a very political discussion, because everybody says we want to have a more sustainable world, and in the meantime we take the plane and go to the Philippines, for instance. Or we go somewhere else around the world, but people want to travel all the time, also from this airport, so it's growing every day and every year. And on the other hand, people say, well, we don't want to have the air pollution, we don't want to hear the planes anymore. Well, a lot of things that people ask, but those same people want to fly also. So they want to fly on a sustainable way. That's good, so perhaps we can fly in electric planes one day. But it means that you have to invest and to develop that kind of techniques. And I think there are more and more possibilities nowadays to do that, but it costs also a lot of money, a lot of time. And we as a community has to pay also for that. And I think it's a good way. When you want to do that, then you have also to pay the bill for that. So again, we try to reshape the economy in a sustainable way and to provide a more prosperous and well-being and healthy climate. Nowadays, one of the first things we try to do to warm our houses and water not only with natural gas, because that's what we're doing already for decades in this country, because we had also natural gas from the north of the country. So it was very easy and very modern decades ago to transport the gas from the north of the country to the rest of the country. So we have a very well organized system for that. And we are in a front position in the world for that. So a lot of countries are going now from it's coal what is it? It's coal ook weer in het Engels. Check? Coal. Yeah, coal, I think. Changing from coal to gas, that's already sustainable when you think about one going to the other. But we want to make a further step and say, well, gas is one thing, but in our country we want to make the next step through electrifying a lot of things, and that makes it also very difficult, the whole new emission. But what we see, we are a very clever country, and we have a small scale. So on this scale, perhaps you can be a kind of laboratory, sweets. You can experiment here to do new things, and we are a wealthy country, so we have a lot of money. So to be honest, we can afford also to try to develop with new techniques. Yeah, so we are aware, that's also in my text, I see. So your visit here is good for us. Every now and then new people come in and want to experience what's going on here in the city. The City Hall is welcoming you not only today but also the other days if you want to come here. I guess you will have a very nice stay here and some nice experiments. I have John van der Rhee here, my colleague. He is, we call him in English, clerk of our city council. So that means he is, well, not the head of the city council, but very close to that. He's very important. And at least I think he's very important because I cannot function without him. So that's very important. And he is doing, well, he is leading more. I am the chairman of the local council, but he is always sitting next to me. So that means that every politician is coming to him with questions, and he has a staff of people around him who can help with organizing the whole political process. In our system, I am the chairman of the council here, but also of the daily board, I should call it. I don't know how it's called in your text. The Board of Aldermen. So I have two functions in that. That's very interesting in my job, but it means that I really have to listen very carefully what's going on in this political arena, and have to make a translation also together with John and other people, how we can use that in our day-to-day service to the community. But it's a very interesting job, and we like very much to do it. So you will hear from John very nice things, and I wish you a very nice day. Thank you for listening. Other questions? Thank you. Questions? No questions. What are you going to do the next 2 weeks? I have questions for you. What's your plan? Use the microphone. You can just, yeah, the right. The right, yes. Yeah. yourself. Perhaps on the front? No.
We'll be going to the different like cities around Haarlemmermeer, and we're also gonna go to like the different organizations such as waste management, water management, and all of that. So we're gonna see that around in the next few days.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Where are you staying? Somebody else?
We're staying at a Dutch family, so we have different host families. Yeah. What?
They speak also your language?
No.
No, no. Pure Dutch. And so you have to speak Dutch also then? You got a course about Dutch or no, or not at home? No, no, no. What are you studying?
Hi, Mayor. I'm already working in a retail company there in the Philippines. So if you have department store, or we call it department store or supermarket, that's it. No, only some of us. Somehow.
Do you think you can learn here?
Maybe because I'm into community development as well, so maybe you're like what we've mentioned earlier, like the water management or any other things that's very interesting to somehow benchmark here in your city, and maybe we could apply it to when we go back to our city as well.
Okay, great. You like it in Cebu? It's a nice nice city.
Yes, Cebu is a nice city.
How many people are there living around?
I'm not really I'm not really sure about the figure, but there's a lot of people in Cebu.
And you are born there?
Around 3.5 million.
5 million? 3.5? My God. Yeah. And it's still, you still have the feeling that it's a warm city. In positive thing that it's for families also nice and for students and yeah. It's a nice community.
Yes, it is.
What's the main thing I have to see in Cebu when I go there? Yeah, yeah. When it's
if you go to Cebu, you might want to see the beaches. Of course, it's the Philippines. We have really nice beaches with white sand and maybe the mountain ranges. They say, some of our friends here, they say the mountains here are just this big.
Yeah.
And for us, those are only hills. Mountains in Cebu are like really very high. And you might want to go there if you want to see some sightseeing in Cebu.
And what's the climate now?
Climate in Cebu right now, actually it's very hot. It's summer, around 30 plus degrees Celsius. So when we went here, we actually were from an oven to a freezer.
So what's the best period for me to go there?
Best summer.
Summer.
Yes,
So
right
now is
now.
the highest temperature and
Yes.
will go lower in June and July.
Yes.
Oh,
Around July and August, it'll be rainy now in the Philippines.
so we have to make plans.
Yes.
Okay. Well, enjoy your stay here.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you very
you.
much.
Thank you, Mayor Hoes. Also on my behalf, a warm welcome to all of you, students from Cebu City here in the Council Chamber of Haarlemmermeer. Welcome. It's an honor for us to have you here. And I was asked to talk to you about local council and the political organization of Haarlemmermeer. A warm welcome and here we go, to all of you, students from Cebu City here in the Council Chamber of Haarlemmermeer. Welcome. It's an honor for us to have you here. And I was asked to talk to you about local council and the political organization of Haarlemmermeer. A warm welcome and here we go, to all of you, students from Cebu City here in the Council Chamber of Haarlemmermeer. Welcome. It's an honor. try again. Here we go. My name is John van Rhee and I'm responsible for how it works in this room. So I will have an interesting talk with my people when this is over, where the echo came from. I'm the municipal clerk of the town of Haarlemmermeer, and my work together with my team is to support the 39 local members of the municipal council of Haarlemmermeer. And our members of council are our representatives, our local parliamentarians, so to say. They represent the people in outlining and deciding the general municipal policy, and they appoint the local government and control the work of that local government and their organization of more than 1,000 civil servants. And of course, the elected members of the city council represent and assist the people of Haarlemmermeer, their companies and organizations in their dealings with policy and complaints. Briefly, our 39 members of the city council are the parliamentarians of Haarlemmermeer. And so this, actually the places where you are seated, are the places where my members of the city council are seated. And they come together for formal meetings every 2 weeks. Thursday night, the local city council holds its meetings here and takes its decisions here. And in this room, in this arena, as Mayor Hoes called it, it's all about politics. And I don't know what your perception of politics is. And what would be a short way for you to define politics? Could you just on top of your mind, top of your head, just give me a phrase, a catchphrase in which politics are defined for you? And I won't hold it against you. Anyone? An idea? Politics? Well, it was Winston Churchill who once said, well, he said it more eloquently, but this is better to understand, I think. At least I understand it. Who once said, the fastest way to piss off anybody and make enemies, that's politics. And he also said, the best argument against democracy is a conversation of 5 minutes with a voter. But given that, democracy is the best solution for governing a country or governing a city for all the other alternatives that we've tried and which have failed. So it's not perfect, but it works, and it works sufficiently. And now for something really dull. I'm going to take you through the way that the Dutch have organized their political system. And I heard you talking about water management and all other things. This has nothing to do with that, so sorry. But this is what we do in this room. So in order to understand what happens, I need to take you through a bit of dull theory. In the Netherlands, we have 3 levels of political organization. We have the national level, we have the regional level, we call that the provinces, and we have the local level. On the national level, we have the government which resides in The Hague. We have a Senate there of 75 members, and more importantly, what we call the Tweede Kamer, the lower house, the House of Commons, the House of Representatives, with 150 members, and they are directly elected at least every 4 years, or as often as is necessary to form a new stable government. And the fun thing in Holland is that we don't have one party which has the absolute majority. In our system, the representation is equal, so one man, one vote turns out into a lot of parties in parliament where not one party has an absolute majority. So they always have to compromise to come together with a group that's big enough to have over half of the votes in parliament. So there's always a coalition of a few parties to make a government, which means that we never in Holland have changes of policy which are from day to night or from black to white, because there's always grey. Because the coalition always needs to compromise, because there's never one party or one person who can tell the complete parliament we're going into that direction. The coalition won't have it, because if you do that, the coalition will fall, new elections, and probably more parties. So an even more difficult coalition to form with more compromises, so nobody wants that. So there's never a hardline change in policy, but gradually through the years, of course, policies change. Some people say that this is the way that Holland came to benefit from the political system. Because in our political system, we're used to working together. Liberals, socialists, conservatives, or religious parties, we have them all, and they all need to work together in order to form a stable government. Now, if you're used to doing that in politics, you can also use that while undertaking economical activities. So we build our companies through teamwork, as we're used to in building our political system. And that finds the basic in our history, and there water management comes in. Because as you know, we are here below sea level, and we always say God created the world and the Dutch created Holland. And that's because we decided to build dikes and to make land out of water. And to be able to do that, you have to cooperate. So farmers did that to get more fertile ground out of the sea around them. So they built dikes, made land, and started to work on that land. So the inkling to cooperate and to make things happen, and not have it your own way, but to have it the way most people would do, so you could build better dikes and make more land, and thus make more money. That's always been part of our national DNA. And that comes back in our political system. We always compromise to get the best result, which is crazy. Because if you think that you have a political statement to make, you will never say that a compromise will create the best solution. And still it does, at least in Holland. At least we think so. Okay. Now regionally, we have provinces, 12 of them, and the province you're in right now is North Holland. And in North Holland, the city of Haarlem lies, Haarlemmermeer lies there, but also our capital city, Amsterdam, lies here. Now the third level, after parliament and provinces, is local government, the towns. And they are the third level of our political organization. And perhaps you know that the Netherlands has only 17 million inhabitants, and we live together in quite a small part of Europe. tiny compared to a country as the Philippines. But another feature of this country is that because of that, we simply do not have huge cities like Cebu. So at the moment we have around 350 communities, towns and cities in the Netherlands, which are quite close to each other. And in number of inhabitants, we're, Mayor Hoes said it already, we're number 17 on the list of the biggest cities. But Amsterdam, the capital city, of course, is the number one. But mind you, Amsterdam only has 900,000 inhabitants. So we do things on a different scale, on a smaller scale. And we always had to, because the moment we tried to enlarge in what we were doing, the sea and the floods always told us, just get back to your clay, be safe behind the dikes, and make it happen there with as few as you are and as few as possibilities as you have. So we tried, and in a way, I think we somehow succeeded in a couple of things. Back to politics. As I said before, Haarlemmermeer has 39 members of the local council. And these councillors are elected every 4 years in free elections by all inhabitants of 18 years and older. The latest local elections took place only a couple of months ago, in last November. And we have a lot of parties. We have 11 parties in the local city council. And only 6 of these parties are nationally organized, with a national organization, party organization, and of course representation in the national parliament in The Hague. So the other 5 parties are what we call the local parties. And that is that they are parties that only exist here in Haarlemmermeer. And the fun thing is, if you live in another city, you will have roughly the same situation. You will have roughly half of the parties in any local city council in the Netherlands, which are organized nationwide, and the other half will be parties which are organized only in that city. So there are 5 local parties here, and there might be 5 local parties as well in Amsterdam, but they're not the same local parties. So the Dutch have a long tradition of wanting to make sure that what they believe, which is the best for the country, the city, or for the street, can be expressed individually. So we have an easy way for people to organize their own parties. And if you get the votes, you'll get into the local city council. And if you get the votes, you'll get into the provincial parliament. And if you get the votes, you'll get into the national parliament. Which means that there are a lot of parties with strong convictions, and they still need to compromise. So this council is like the parliament, and a political representation of the people of Haarlemmermeer. And this council, it decides on the general policy of this community. The council elects and controls local government, which in our case is 6 aldermen who together with their staff make proposals and carry out the decisions of the city council. And just like the cabinet ministers in The Hague, these aldermen do not vote in city council meetings. They just propose and wait for the council to take a decision. They are, and you can see them here. I say aldermen because that's the functional title, but there are more women than men in that group, fortunately. And the aldermen, the college of the aldermen includes the mayor, And they sit right there. So this is the bench of the alderman. And then the mayor sits here, shield with the official mark of the city of Haarlemmermeer. And then I'm allowed to sit here and try and act as if I know what's happening. So the city council elects them. And if one of them doesn't do what he or she is supposed to do, the city council can move to, well, basically to lay them off. So if you're not good enough, and the city council thinks so, they will tell them to go. And then politics comes into play, because one of the parties which form that coalition might say, well, that's my alderman, and I don't want him or her to go. If they go, then we stop within the coalition. And then we don't have a majority in the city council. So then that's when the political game really starts, and it happens that one or two of them need to go. Most of the time it goes the appropriate way. So the city council will not have to send them away. And one or two times you will experience that the whole coalition says, okay, that's it. We need to find a new coalition. We're stopping with this. And then the whole college needs to go. The only one that stays in the political process is the mayor. But he has a special position in local politics. He is seated right there as the official chairman of the local council. But at the same time, he's the chairman of the Board of Aldermen. And the mayor, as a chairman of the city council, which was elected, does not vote together with the city council. Neither do the aldermen. But in the meetings of the aldermen, the mayor does have a vote. So he has two different positions with regards to voting. When it comes to the city council, he doesn't. And when it comes to the Board of Aldermen, he does. Now there's another interesting thing, is that the mayor is appointed by His Majesty the King. But the nomination for that appointment is made by the city council. So in the end, the city council elects the alderman and nominates the mayor. When a mayor is appointed by His Majesty the King, he is appointed for 6 years. And the city council is elected for 4 years. And the aldermen also are elected for, at the most, a period of 4 years, and then they might come back or not, but the new city council decides. So the mayor has a longer continuing position with regard to the city council or the alderman, which is good for the continuation of policy and for the recognizability of local government. And that's why he's appointed by the king. So politics doesn't really need to affect him, because he's not appointed by local politics or local politicians, but by the king. But the king needs a nomination from the city council to be able to do that appointment. But by the time the new appointment has to come along after 6 years, there's a new city council. So there's continuity, but still he needs to, or she, as a mayor, needs to make sure that the city council still can be happy with local government as it is functioning, because otherwise the nomination might not go through. And the fun thing is that in Holland, any citizen can hand in an application to become mayor to the city council. Now, of course, not everybody does that. But interesting at this very moment is that unfortunately Mayor Hoes has decided that he will not run for a definite appointment as mayor of Haarlemmermeer. So he will stop coming this summer. We now know that 12 people have have applied for the vacant position as of this summer for mayor of Haarlemmermeer. And as city clerk, I will go to the office where the letters are all written to, and with the delegation of the city council that will go there, we will try and work out who must become nominated. So the delegation first tries to do that work, and then when the delegation has done that work, we will come here into this room, and it will be secluded. It's a secret meeting, because we will be talking about individuals, people who might be mayor in a smaller city, or who might be in the national parliament, or who might be of an interesting position somewhere in the business community. So to protect their privacy, this will be a secluded secret meeting where the delegation says, okay, we've seen the 12 applications from candidates, and we think that from these 12 candidates, these two are the best candidates. Then the City Council will deliberate over that and will decide whether they agree with the delegation. And then at the end of the night, they will elect the number one on that list. And that number one on that list, who is not here in the room, will receive a call from me. And he will be told by me, listen up. In 30 minutes, we will have a press release saying that you will be nominated to the King as the new mayor for Haarlemmermeer. You have 30 minutes now to tell your family, to tell your colleagues, and if you're mayor in a different city, to tell your city council there that you're leaving, and otherwise they will have to read about it in the press. So make haste. We will go public in 30 minutes. This is how the procedure works in Holland. So I'm very excited about that, because this will happen in June. So with that procedure in mind, we're in the middle of it. So not every Dutch citizen handed in his or her appointment or her application, but some did, and some interesting people did. One of the special reasons for this, well, other appointment than anywhere else in our political organization, officially by the King, is that the mayor has some important responsibility. He is the formal and official caretaker of democratic procedures. And he is also responsible for the utmost important affairs as public order and security. He is a mayor because he proved, or she, has proven to be a good politician. But once you become mayor, you are supposed to leave the colors of your party at home. In our process and in our system, the mayor is not a party figure. The mayor is the mayor of all inhabitants of the city. And of course, looking back on careers, most mayors are really party figures. But as soon as they become mayor, our whole system, our civil servants, our other politicians demand that he or she leaves his political colors at home. Don't be a politician, be a mayor. That's the dedication that they need. And still, when he does that, as I told you, when he does all these things about public order, security, and when he is trying to guarantee the safety of the democratic process here in this arena, in this city chamber, holds him responsible for how he does that. Of course, also here, although it rarely happens in the country anywhere, but officially, if the city council would write a letter to the king saying, well, you've appointed this guy, and we nominated him, and we thought we were very happy, but it turns out we're not that happy anymore, then other things will start happening. And the mayor will have a good talk with the minister, and the minister will have a good talk with the king, and the mayor will have a good talk with the city council, and the minister will have a good talk with the city council, but it's always possible to have the mayor removed as well. It happens rarely, but in the system it's possible, because nobody in our system is higher with regard to making the decisions and, well, let's call it calling the shots, than the elected people of the city council, the provincial parliaments, or the national parliament. Elected officials are always above the nominated officials, even though the mayor is nominated by the king himself. So that's a bit of a strange structure, but still that's how it works and how it somehow has been working for quite some years. And in most Dutch local councils, the mayor has to see to how these meetings go. And with, as in Haarlemmermeer, 11 parties, it's quite a task to make sure these meetings go the way you want them to go. And you might think they could lead to immobility and indecision. 11 parties, oh my God. But no. Strangely enough, or maybe because of the process, I don't know, most of the time local and public interests bring most parties, or a majority of parties, together in making a common decision. So that's the easy part. But as I said before, politics also, of course, is an excellent way to piss off other people and make enemies. So that happens here as well. Our local council is supported by, well, my team. We call it the raadsgriffier. I won't bother you with that word anymore. And in English, I think it's the registry. And my team, the registry, organizes the council meetings, sees the procedures, and supervises documents for the city council, and advises, when asked, the members of the local council, and of course, the one presiding over the local council, being the mayor. So our team's slogan is, we support the local council, and through them, we support our local democracy. And besides our daily work for the political representation in this town, the council and the registry also try to stimulate the knowledge of our democracy and local politics. For instance, in schools and local organizations, because democracy should never be taken for granted. It always means work. Work to explain why it's better to do it the democratic way. Well, everybody knows that a dictator moves easier and is far more efficient. Democracy costs a hell of a lot of time, a hell of a lot of money, and is not really that efficient. A dictator is far more efficient and will make better? Well, will make any decision a lot faster than any democracy. But we have chosen for this way of governing the city, the provinces, and the country. Now, the council meetings here, God, what are we so? Ah, there, yeah. The council meetings here are public, and people can attend all meetings from the public gallery with the yellow, as Mayor Hoes pointed out. And they are broadcasted live on the internet. We call that our webcasting. And we have an active free press that writes a lot about what happens in this chamber. And just to make sure that you know, when you go back to Cebu, you will be able to relive this moment over and over and over again, because we're now transmitting on webcasting live on the internet as well. So everyone who used the microphone will live on for eternity that he's been in the City Council chamber of Haarlemmermeer. Congratulations. Furthermore, with regard to the free press, we have the, as we see it, the lucky position that we have here at least one daily newspaper, 2 weekly newspapers, and a local radio station that covers all the events in this house. That would be the end of my presentation for you guys, and I hope your stay here in Haarlemmermeer is a happy one, and I hope you've learned some things and I've not gotten you to sleep over this political system talk, and you might take something back to your city at home. I hope that the Dutch friends here have learned some little things about the system as well, but I'm sure that there are 2 or 3 questions or remarks still open there. So if you want to stay longer in the chamber, raise your hand and use the mic. If you want to leave immediately, do not raise a hand, do not use a mic, and I'll release you. So it's all up to you. It's a democratic process. Any questions or remarks? I'm happy to hear them. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. Hi, sir. I would just like to ask, in your position, how are you appointed or are you elected as the minister clerk?
Good question. Thank you. I'm appointed by the City Council itself, without advice from the mayor, and without advice from the College of Aldermen, and without advice from the 1,000 or so civil servants who work for them. The 39 members of City Council nominate who they want to nominate. So it's, I came here simply through writing an application letter. And they went through a pile of letters, and they picked a couple of them out, and apparently I made the right impression. Ask them now, this was 12 years ago, ask them now if they're still happy with it. I wouldn't know the answer. But that was how it happened at that time. And can I say something else about the City Council? I haven't told you, but
Sir, good afternoon. My question, sir, is all about the local council. So, what would be the age of to be get elected? Mm,
The age to get in.
18?
Yeah.
Mm,
In Holland,
Good afternoon, sir. My question relates to the government that you have in your country. In the Philippine government, we have three departments. We have the executive department, legislative, and the judiciary department. So I would like to ask, who are the legislators, or who are the one assigned to legislate laws in your country?
the laws are made in Parliament. So that's always compromised.
Okay.
And then they are made in, well, let's put it this way, in the House of Commons. Then the Senate has to approve it, and then the minister has to execute it.
Okay.
And Parliament, so both the House of Commons and the Senate, will check and control whether they do that in the way that was intended when the law was made. And a lot of time, ministers prepare the laws that are going to be made in Parliament. But Parliament always has the possibility and uses it quite regularly to make laws their own and to prepare them themselves. So they do that as well. So I think about 80% of our laws in this country were made by departments residing under ministers and put to Parliament to approve. But about 20% of the laws which Parliament has approved were made by Parliament itself. And again, that's to make it democratic, to make it transparent. But you always see that the department of the minister has more power to make laws and more, is more knowledgeable to make those laws. But parliamentarians can do that as well. That answers your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, is it necessary that you should be living in the town that you're applying to a position to, or is it okay that you're living in a different town and you're applying a position in that other town?
You need to explain the question again.
Is it okay that you're applying for a position, for example, in Haarlemmermeer, but you're living in a different town, or is it okay, or it's not okay?
Good afternoon, sir. Um, I'm interested about the alderman because I think that's kind of unique here in Netherlands. That's not existing in our country. So several points, sir. How are they chosen? I mean, is there a specific number or it differs from town to town? And what are the qualifications to become an alderman? And you mentioned about them, one of their function is to make the proposal. So can you further explain on how that happens? Are they reporting here every day as well? Do they work with civil servants in terms of what type of proposals are they? So that's all, sir.
I would like to ask, as you have said a while ago that you have been the city clerk for 12 years, and everyone here, or the majority, has a time span. Why is that so that you have a longer like time period of being a clerk?
Good afternoon. I want to ask if there's a limit to as to how long a person can stay in a specific position.
Right, sir.
This is in relation to the operations of the organization, since the country Netherlands is known to be a welfare state, based on what I read in the books. So my question is in relation to, because every organization's bloodline is dependent on the budget. So my question is in regards to budget acquisition and distribution. So from the national, sub-regional, and local level, who decide in terms of budget distribution? And first, acquisition. How do you acquire budget? Is it the same with the city and municipality? Because there are towns that is not yet a city, it's still a municipality. but Haarlemmermeer is already a city, right? So how do the national government acquire budget? Then what is the... Yes, okay.
National government has allocated an amount of money, a large amount of money, for local government. And that's distributed on the basis of the numbers of population of a municipality. So if you're a big municipality,
Mhm.
you get a lot of money.
Mhm.
If you're a small municipality, that's easy. The exciting thing about this procedure is that if national government spends less money,
Yes.
the deal is that local government will get the same percentage less from the allocated amount as the national government is not spending. So if the national government in the end decides to spend less, we get less as well, without any influence on it. But we're always happy when they decide to buy 50 more fighter jets, because that's extra spending.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's about 80% of the local budget of any municipality in the Netherlands. And about 20% is filled in by local autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's local taxation.
Mm-hmm.
And local taxation, well, if you have to pay money to the government, you need to get something worth out of it. So a lot of times in Holland it's about taxation. One of the principal questions within elections.
Yeah.
Do we want that room, because 20% is quite a big amount of money. Do you want it completely filled in with local taxes? Or do you want to have as much room as possible with almost no taxes? That's quite a principal discussion between socialists, liberals,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
conservatives. So that 20% is decided here in Bezoek on proposal of the alderman, which are nominated by the members of Bezoek. So there's a two-way street there, and it depends on the working majority how that happens. So it depends on the color of the working majority. If
Mm-hmm.
it's liberal or conservative, then taxes will be low.
Yeah.
In general, it's a generalization. But if it's more socialist, they tend to have higher taxes. And I'm not saying whether it's good or bad, but that's in general how people look at it. That was the first question.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for answering the first. I think the second question is in relation to distribution. Like in the Philippines, it's the president, the mayor in relation to local, decided the agenda. He made an agenda, proposed it to the council for approval, but at the end it will be signed by the mayor. So here in the Netherlands, my question is, how is the budget is distributed? Is it determined by agenda from the council, and from that agenda or agenda by the mayor endorsed by the council, then how's that, like 20% goes to education?
My question, sir, is about the people who will be sitting the city council. Like, is political dynasty never an issue to any government position here?
I understand the question. Thank you. The funny thing is,
My question, sir, is all about the local council since they are elected. In my part, I'm also elected in Philippines. In our village, I'm the youth chairman of our village. So my question is the city council of Haarlemmermeer has also the committee chairmanship? Like for example, I am the chairman on committee on youth and sports development. So do they have the chairmanship of committees or any representation of any sector such as youth, the persons with special needs, the senior citizens, and any other sectors are in Haarlemmermeer?
has no special seats or places for nominated members of any background. So the parties they will make sure that their representation is the proper one. So if it's people from other ethnic
The second question, sir. My second question is, since they were elected local council, so in Philippines, if we are elected, so we are tasked to do our duties and responsibilities. Then, if in case we are found to be corrupt or any cannot do our duties and responsibilities, so we do have the chance of remove into office by recall, impeachment, or by suspension. So is that the same here in Haarlemmermeer? A way of process of removing officials not doing their duties and responsibilities?